Hello everyone, and a happy 2020. Hope you all had a fantastic new year. Me personally, I've taken December to relax. It's been quite a while since I did one of these voiceovers. I played some other games than WoW for the change. I finally finished Hollow Knight. Amazing game, can highly recommend. I tried out The Witcher 3 again, and it's really not for me. Also finished up Nier Automata. Interesting game to be certain. Would recommend to check out. For those of you that might have missed it, I also visited the UK for a bit of my birthday, a bit of an early Christmas party. I hung out with Mike from Preach Gaming and Emma and the family. It was an amazing time. We also did a Saturday stream with drinks. Maybe a couple too many, but, you know, it was all in good fun.
I am the devil's
Then why
penis!
are we screaming? We are agreeing!
Because the Gouda is called Gouda!
So 2020 is here, and while it should have actually released last year, we got Warcraft Reforged. That should be going live this month, I believe. You can expect a playthrough on the channel of that, of course. I also need to bother Fury to sit down and level our pandas again. We got the monthly Diablo series with Neveria. Hopefully plenty of Hearthstone videos. And of course, there's the Shadowlands beta coming up, which should be somewhere this year, I suppose. All good stuff to look forward to. But of course, this little update is not why you're here. You're here because in this month, January, we're gonna see the launch of patch 8.3. And imagine that more people out there, you took a little break and enjoyed the holidays. What better time than to refresh our memories and talk about the story of Battle for Azeroth so far, going into patch 8.3. It all began with the end of Legion, in which we defeated Sargeras and the Burning Legion. But the Dark Titan, he was a sore loser, and he stabbed Azeroth anyways. Magni Bronzebeard, the speaker, he rallies us to focus on healing the world. If not, we might not have an Azeroth left to fight over. Gifted with the heart of Azeroth, we gather this new powerful substance, Azerite they call it, from all kinds of different locations. Island expeditions, war fronts, Mythic Plus, raiding, world quests. All around us, Azerite is gathered to heal the world and empower ourselves with Azerite armor. But of course, this powerful new resource, it can be used for more than just healing. We now know that War Chief Sylvanas Windrunner, she came in touch with a being of the Shadowlands, one that goes by the name of the Jailer. The details are unclear, will be revealed more in the next expansion. But the Banshee Queen, we know for certain, she wants to conquer death, she wants to stay out of hell, or perhaps even rule it. Again, more details are going to be revealed in the next expansion. War is required in this World of Warcraft, but Sylvanas, she was smart enough to realize that the Hordes, they would not just blindly follow her. They needed a symbol, a person of honor that they trusted to lead this charge, and she managed to convince Saurfang to stand at her side. Sure enough, they might be able to get a peace going with King Anduin Wrynn leading the alliance. Seeds of that peace, they were attempted to be planted in the novel Before the Storm, in which we read about the Forsaken and humans reuniting, but that meeting ended in disaster. The Forsaken present, they were having such a good time that they did not want the day to end. They asked Kalia Menethil, sister to Arthas Menethil, to stand with them, and so she did. Some of them tried to abandon the Horde, abandon the Banshee Queen, run to the Alliance. Others, they would not dream of forsaking Sylvanas. All of them, deserters and those that tried to go back, they were shot down by the War Chief. Even Kalia lay dead on the field, but no war was properly started this day. Not quite yet. Sylvanas was smart enough to only kill her own people, and Kalia, who did not belong to the Alliance. But this attempt at peace, it ended in disaster, but not the end of Kalia's story. She was brought back to the Priest Order Hall and resurrected in the light, with the aid of Anduin, Alonsis, and the Naru.
Light's blessing upon you.
So yeah, with Anduin, the Horde and the Alliance, they might be able to get some peace going. But how long would that peace actually last? Time, it breaks all bonds, and history shows us that we're really good at holding on to old hatreds, fighting one another. So Saurfang, he agrees with the War Chief that it would be better to take care of the enemy once and for all. Plans are made to attack the Night Elves, occupy Teldrassil, and strike out at their leaders. By holding the tree and its citizens hostage, the Alliance will be unable to retaliate. Not to mention, how would Gilneas react if Anduin decides to go free Teldrassil before Gilneas? There would be infighting, enough for them to pick them off one by one, shatter their precious alliance, and win the war. The best laid plans can still go wrong. Despite having Malfurion exactly where she wanted him, Sylvanas decided to hand over the kill to Saurfang, who just couldn't take the blow. The strike he had done, it had been dishonorable. Empty-handed, he returned to his war chief, who then decided to inflict the wounds that the death of their leader was supposed to cause in a completely different way.
Burn it!
The World Tree, and those still stuck inside, it goes up in flames. Even the Thanos was surprised at the order given, and the Night Elves, they feel like their goddess alone has abandoned them. Not exactly the way that they envisioned to win the war. The Alliance, they were now free to retaliate, with burning vengeance in their hearts. Soon enough, Lordaeron falls under siege, and the war chief shows them that she's not afraid of using whatever it's going to take to secure her victory. Unleashing their plague on friend and foe, resurrected the fallen in undeath, blowing up the city if they have to, anything to take out the Alliance. And Saurfang, he can't believe it. This dishonorable way, this disregard for the lives of their people, it's not what he signed up for. The burning of Teldrassil had already pushed him to abandon the Horde and fight on his own before the siege ever began, and these tactics, it pushed him even further, staying behind to find his honorable death in battle at the hands of the Alliance. That would not be his fate though. Anduin has heard many tales about the honorful Saurfang and decides to imprison him instead. With the addition of Jaina Proudmoore that showed up on the battlefield in a flying ship, she returned to the Alliance, and now they confront the war chief together, a meeting ending up in explosions, which kicks off the battle for Azeroth. War. It means that we can use as many fighters as we can. The Alliance, they head on over to Kultiras, homeland of Miss Jaina Proudmoore, but relations between them and the Alliance, they've been kinda rocky, to say the least, ever since the Daughter of the Sea stepped to the side and had her father killed. Some are smart enough to see that Kultiras, they need the Alliance as well, especially since they're dealing with quite a bit of darkness brewing beneath the surface. In Tidegard, we expose Priscilla Ashvane for actively working against House Proudmoore. In Drusvar, we expose the ancient evil of the Drust that has taken over their house, and ultimately defeat Gorak Tul in his domain. In Stormsong Valley, we expose the corruption that seeped into the organization of Tide Sages, their connection to the sea, which exposed them to Azshara and N'Zoth. With helping them out, Catherine Proudmoore eventually welcomes her daughter and the Alliance back, which adds the force of Kultiras to their ranks. In turn, the Horde meets up with Princess Talanji, daughter of King Rastakhan of the Zandalari. With her travels Prophet Zul, which you might remember from being behind the troll events that we saw during Mr. Pandaria. They have been captured though by the Alliance while traveling to Orgrimmar, so a rescue mission is in order, one that puts Stormwinds to the torch and has them sail to Zandalar. There, they meet up with the king and help him out with their troubles as well. The lands of Nusmir face a corruption seeping out of Uldir. An artificially created old god going by the name of Cahoon, it's causing quite a bit of trouble for the lands, with Zul and his forces actively working on releasing it. That's right, like Priscilla, Zul isn't loyal. He's actually working against Rastakhan. They want to break the seals, which keep Cahoon locked away, aided by a powerful force long forgotten, found in the sands of Vol'dun. Ultimately, they succeeded in their mission. It helps when you're a prophet and you can see what's gonna happen next. King Rastakhan, he sees no other option but to ally himself to Bonsamdi, and not just himself, but his entire bloodline. They will now serve the Loa in life and in death. A heavy price to pay, but one that does grant them the power to save their city. Zul struck down only to return to Uldir, where heroes ventured to take care of Cahoon. All the same, the Zandalari are allied to the Horde and eventually even became playable. We saw a few allied races added in Legion, while with Battle for Azeroth, we got the addition of Mag'gorah orcs and Zandalari trolls for the Horde, while the Alliance, they got the Dark Iron Dwarves and the Kultirans. 2 more are coming in the next patch. I'm all over the one added to the Horde, but for now, the Alliance and the Horde, they pursue their own war campaigns to claim their ultimate victory. Outposts in enemy territory are established, whereas the Horde, they go on a mission of securing a powerful artifact, which is called the Abyssal Scepter. Along the way, they also resurrect a few of the fallen to add them to the ranks or to gain information. Priscilla Ashvane is broken out of prison as she can provide valuable information to the war chief. They even stumble upon the body of Derek Proudmoore, who is the brother to Jaina and died quite a while ago at the hands of orcs and dragons. A corpse to be brought back to life and serve the Banshee Queen. Meanwhile, the Alliance, they deal with the Sand Lane. They uncover that the Horde has stolen the scepter and they steal it back. They make ready to siege the capital of the Zandalari by placing bombs and gathering forces until the time was right to attack the city. Perhaps they'd be able to convince the king of the Zandalari to surrender. But of course Rastakhan, he was not about to give up to these invaders of his home. Calling upon Bonsamdi to aid him, the king took on the Alliance head on, but ultimately he lost his life for the trouble.
Forgive me.
No matter to Bonsumdi though, the king's bloodline would continue to serve. He's passed on to Princess Talanji, who's not exactly happy about the death of her father. The Alliance retreats, in which Gelbin Mekatork, he holds the line. He takes on the Horde and nearly loses his life. Now he's trapped in his escape pod, and none have been able to save him. Now they might call this a victory for the Alliance, but exactly at what cost? So many lives were lost. King Anduin fears that the death of Rastakhan is going to ignite a fire in the hearts of the Zandalari. Not to mention that Sylvanas hasn't played all her cards quite yet. By resurrecting Derek, she plans to use him as a weapon, take over his mind, send him back to the Alliance to hurt them from within. But not just Sourfang thinks that Sylvanas is taking things too far. More and more voices amongst the Horde, they're rising up, amongst them Bane Bloodhoof. He decides to take action and sends Derek back to his sister. This betrayal is uncovered. A great show for all to see what exactly the War Chief does with betrayers. Bloodhoof is placed in chains, awaiting his punishment. Meanwhile, over in Darkshore, we have the Night Elves that have decided to take some sweet vengeance, with Taran the Whisperwind invoking an ancient, dangerous ritual, demanding Elune to grant her the power she needs. The Night Warrior walks the lands of Azeroth again, while the moon has turned dark. Napanos and the Horde, they have no idea what they're in for. The leaders of the Night Elves, they're ready to take back their lands. And while it's not directly shown in-game, they have confirmed during the last BlizzCon that both the Warfront at Darkshore and the one in Stromgarde, they're both won by the Alliance. However, Tyrannus' thirst for vengeance is not sated. Sylvanas still leads the Horde, she still walks the lands. She will not be satisfied until the War Chief has been made to pay. Or more and more, they're opening their eyes on the real threat amongst them. We see this go down in Nashatar, capital of the Naga. The Horde members, they brought the War Chief an artifact called the Blade of the Black Empire, and through it, there's a connection established between Sylvanas, N'Zoth, and Azshara. Long ago, the Queen of the Naga was a Night Elf that tried to bring the Legion into the world, but her plans did not succeed. Instead, she and those that were with her, they nearly drowned in the dark waters of Azeroth. Was it not for the old god N'Zoth that offered her a deal? She would serve him, not as a slave but as a queen, bring back that glorious Black Empire, and he would save her life. Turn her and those that accepted the bargain as well, they were turned into the Naga. For over 10,000 years, they've been scheming and plotting, building up their empire and forces, all with an eye on releasing N'Zoth and rule the world. Or at least, that's what Azshara would like us all to believe. All the same, one of the final pieces of the puzzle to break the chains of the old god, that would be our very own Heart of Azeroth, brimming with Azerite and power. As the Alliance chase the Horde at high seas, just as Sylvanas had planned, Azshara, she splits the waters and drag all of their forces into her kingdom. Only Nafanos seemed to really be aware of what his beloved Banshee Queen was planning. The rest of the Horde, not so much, and while they fight against Azshara minions, they also open up to the idea of uniting with the Alliance once again to take care of the War Chief. Ultimately, Azshara did succeed in getting us exactly where she wanted us to be. She loses her life in the battle, but our power is turned against us, and N'Zoth is set free. He then brings her back to life. Apparently, he isn't quite done with her yet, and for the first time since the Day of the Titans, an old god is on the loose to do what it desires.
All eyes shall be open.
Oh yeah, and of course, let's not forget our trip to Mak'gorah, where we joined the Rustbolt Resistance in taking down their tyrannical leader. Over the ages, these gnomes, they've upgraded their bodies, which was always a personal choice. But now their king, he wants to enforce it upon all, something that his son is not down with. After gathering many of the scraps around the island and powerful upgrades, even witness the future in which we failed, we venture into Mak'gorah and dethrone the king, securing a future for the Mechagnomes as well as for ourselves. Bit of a detour for the overall story, but it will be continued in patch 8.3. Of course, N'Zoth, he is going to show us what he's got. They didn't call it the visions of N'Zoth without a reason, the effects of an old god still being out there. That's all coming to us in January. For the story right now, we still had Sylvanas to deal with. As I mentioned earlier, Anduin decided not to take Saurfang's life, knowing the honor of the orc, and knowing that on the battlefield, Saurfang could have easily struck him down, but he didn't. This is no longer his horde. Saurfang had hoped that Anduin and the Alliance, that they would be able to take care of Sylvanas, but they can't do it alone. Anduin decides to set him free and place him on a journey to do something, to help out, to fight against the War Chief. Orcs like him, orcs like former War Chief Thrall.
We don't get to hide.
After recruiting Thrall back from Outland and saving Bane out of Orgrimmar together with the Alliance, they make ready for another siege of Orgrimmar. Both sides, they prepare their troops, their defenses, but ultimately, there would be no siege. Simply a Mak'gorah, a one-on-one duel between Saurfang and Sylvanas. A battle that he knew he could not win. And while it's true, he was unable to overpower Sylvanas, and we now know that has to do with her deal with the jailer, he was able to expose her to the rest of the hordes.
The Horde is nothing!
As the war chief is blasting off again, leaving behind the horde that she no longer needs, we gather to say goodbye to Saurfang, who laid down his life for his beloved hordes. The old soldier has finally found his honorable death. The horde is going to need some new leadership, but the tensions between the factions, they're no longer at peak. Of course, there will always be voices of discontent. Tyrande and Greymane, for example, they're not satisfied with the outcome at all. I can't imagine that Princess Talanchi, for example, that she will forget about the death of her father. In the streets of Orgrimmar, Sylvanas loyalists, they whisper to each other to always be there for the Dark Lady, while others, especially amongst the Forsaken, they truly feel forsaken. They're in need of new leadership as well, as we take the battle into the next patch, the Visions of N'Zoth. The old god awaits, while the storyline with Sylvanas, that is saved for the next expansion. I have covered that part of the story, like Fulton Spear and whatnot. I have covered that in greater detail. So if you want to know more about the afterlife, about the Shadowlands, the information from BlizzCon and whatnot, I'll link a video on screen in the description down below. Now for next week, I'm thinking about covering the story of the Valpera and the Mechanomes, seeing how they're going to be our next allied race. After that, of course, the events of 8.3 included a new raid. Beyond that, who knows what the future is going to bring. I really want to cover Ronin. More people should be aware of his Raptor army, and I think it's about high time that we cover Thrall as well. We'll see. There's going to be plenty of time between 8.3 and the Shadowlands beta. But for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. First voiceover of 2020 done. I hope it sounds alright. As always, you could subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!